What's trending? International.
So earlier today, I was a part of a screening that was put on by the IDF for select media outlets, media members. And you've probably heard of the IDF video that I'm about to explain, 47 minutes of footage that was collected from October 7th. Footage taken from Hamas social media, from the GoPro cameras that they were wearing while they were massacring children and women and men and any Jew that they could. There was surveillance footage, CCTV camera footage. And the reason why the IDF is screening the videos, not because they want to, but because they need to. Because there is a level of denialism that is going on in this country and around the world, playing into deep-seated stereotypes about Jews and how we make things up and how we're very shady. And they had to do this because they're listening to people like this in Oakland.
There's not been beheadings of babies and rapings. Israel murdered their own people on October 7th.
Calling Hamas a terrorist organization is ridiculous, racist, and plays into genocidal propaganda that is flooding our media and that we should be doing everything possible to combat.
Really? And it goes on and on and on. One of the people who spoke, Brooke Lober, she said the notion that this was a massacre of Jews is a fabricated narrative. Brooke Lober, a gender and women's study lecturer over at UC Berkeley. I think she should be the one who saw the video that I saw. I think Christina Gutierrez, a program analyst with the city of Oakland who said Israel murdered their own people on October 7th, I think she should see this video. Because dare I say, and certainly I hope this is the case, neither Brooke nor Christina have ever seen someone decapitated with a garden rake or with a knife. Dare I say, the video that I had to see today, and I had to see this, I felt it was important for me to see, even though, my mind's not going to be changed. This is a video that I think people who are on the opposite side of these issues, as I am, should see. But I thought it was important to truly understand the massacre that occurred on October 7th because it informs the way that I talk about this issue. And if you thought I was passionate before, oh my God. But when you see the images that we saw today, and then you listen to fools like this, it's kind of hard to comprehend it. It's really hard to comprehend it. And some of the videos that we saw have been posted on social media because obviously they were taking some of the social media videos. And so some people have seen some of what I saw, although I saw it without any blurs in very graphic and sometimes extended details, depending on the video. It doesn't make sense to me that people like this take the positions that they're taking. I mean, this idea that it's all made up, what the hell is wrong with you? A fabricated narrative? Brooke Lober, a lecturer at UC Berkeley, you want to know why there are college students who are rallying and marching in favor of Hamas? Because of people like her teaching these kids, teaching them to hate, teaching them to distrust Jews. Because I assure you, there wasn't video of Israelis massacring innocent civilians while shouting Allah Akbar, while taking selfies with a corpse, while cheering on the murders, while going door to door to door in a kibbutz looking for people who were still alive and then shooting them in the head. Or burning some of these homes. There was one video that was captured on, some version of like a Ring camera with two young boys and their father. And they run into the bomb shelter for some sort of cover. They had heard, obviously, the massacre as it was unfolding. They heard the bullets. They were very clearly scared. We had audio recording. It wasn't just video. And these poor kids looked very young, 8 to 10 years old, maybe. They run into the bomb shelter. Only then we see on the video a Hamas terrorist take a grenade and throw it in that bomb shelter. The father able to move the bomb just in time. He dies right in front of these poor kids. Something ends up hitting one of the boys in the eye, blinding him in his eye. The terrorists then bring the two kids back into the home where the intent was to eventually kidnap them. At least that's what it seemed. And just listening to these two kids try to cope with what just happened, it's very difficult to watch. Only to then have to hear people like this.
I support the right of Palestinians to resist occupation, including through Hamas, the armed wing of the unified Palestinian resistance.
So to them, this resistance is justified, and this is an appropriate way to do it. Dare I say she hasn't seen the video of one of those two kids, the brothers, screaming, "Why am I alive?" That's what the kid screamed. After screaming for his mother, who did survive. This kid screamed, "Why am I alive?" And then he goes up to his brother who says, "Can you not see out of this eye?" And the kid says, "I can't. You're not joking? I can't see out of this eye." Like the realization of what had just happened. When you see the Hamas terrorists go into a kindergarten, as this one staff, I think it was a staff member, hiding in one of the rooms, taking cover. It was a room that didn't have much in it except for some blankets that she was like kneeling next to try to escape the terrorists who, of course, looking to kill Jews. And some of the language that you see in this video over and over and over again is kill the Jew, kill the Jew, kill the Jew. Well, they killed that Jew. They shot her. And then, of course, the beheadings, which was very difficult to watch. I did not watch it all. I had to turn away. It's one of those things where I don't want to be too graphic, but I think it is kind of important to be graphic. And again, at least one of those videos is already out there or has been out there with the rake. And obviously, I'm going to guess that no one here has ever seen someone try to decapitate another person with a rake, especially when they don't have particularly good aim. And the damage that they do to a body, the desecration before they're satisfied with what it is that they did. While, again, cheering and laughing. Having one of the terrorists call his father, cheering about how he had just, with his bare hands, killed 10 Jews, at least 10 Jews. Your son is a hero, he said. Put mom on the phone. Mom, your son is a hero. And one of the lines that I remember in this compilation of just horror was two terrorists in a room. Wasn't sure what the room was, but there were multiple bodies there. And they said, we have 3 bodies, 3 Jews, and they were making sure that they were dead. Well, they found a 4th person who was not dead. And the quote was, shoot it in the head. Shoot it in the head, which the terrorist scumbag decided to do. Then, of course, you see what happened at the Nova Festival. footage I had not seen, photos I had not seen, and they take you through via the footage the damage that was done there to these bodies. We see another instance of people taking shelter in a bomb shelter, and Hamas throws in grenades. And some of the people survived because it looked like someone or someone's jumped on top of the grenade, shielding people. And one of the people in there took video. And the look on his face, you will never forget if you ever see it. Then the terrorists taking the bodies, some of the bodies, into Gaza. And as people tell you about how all the civilians in Gaza are totally, totally innocent. They're just the victims of Jews. Well, there were a whole lot of video of those totally innocent, non-Jew hating Gazans celebrating the deaths of these Jews, spitting on the bodies, beating the bodies, stomping on the bodies, especially if they found out the body is of an IDF soldier. In fact, you had one terrorist who was going around to various women asking them if they were soldiers. The intent was to kill them. And yet you still have people like this.
As an Arab, asking with this context to condemn Hamas is very anti-Arab racist.
Well, then I'll be an anti-Arab racist. You think I care what you think? If you think it is anti-Arab racist to condemn Hamas, quote unquote, in this context, the context of which them committing a terrorist attack, okay. Y'all call conservatives a white supremacist already. You've called me that. I'll take this label too, and I'll wear it. It is so grotesque. Anyone who watches this video, or even just a fraction of it, understands why Israel is doing what it's doing, which is wiping Hamas off the face of this earth. These are not people who can be reformed. These are not freedom fighters. These are subhuman monsters. They are monsters. Some of them, sure, have been taught to hate. But it doesn't really matter how they got to the point where they're okay celebrating burning bodies, some of whom are very clearly children. There were lots of children who were murdered. And some of the photos and videos were a part of this IDF film. And when you see that, it makes it very difficult to even understand where people like this are coming from.
The notion that this was a massacre of Jews is a fabricated narrative.
It's a fabricated narrative, says Brooke Lober, a gender and women's studies lecturer at UC Berkeley. It was fabricated. The video that I saw that will prevent me from sleeping soundly for the next, well, who knows how long, was all a fabrication. Maybe the Jews did it. Well, one, I suppose, of the benefits of these terrorists filming it themselves is it's very easy to dismiss lunatics like that woman who want to pretend that it's all a fabrication. I guess Israel did it. They filmed themselves doing it. And she has to know that. Again, some of these videos are online. She has to know that. She's seen the video. She's seen some of the photographs. And yet, we're told that the massacre of Jews is a fabricated narrative. And the Oakland City Council heard her and sided with her, those monsters.
Many of those killed on October 7th,
Thank you, ma'am. Your time is up.
including children, were killed by the IDF.
I saw a whole lot of video of Hamas terrorists doing that to children and women and men and the elderly. It's on video. Now, Israel is in a difficult spot when it comes to these videos. I have to imagine there was a lot of deliberations as to whether or not they're going to put the videos out there. And as I said in the past, part of the reason why they're doing it the way that they're doing it, which is showing certain folks in the media, on the Hill, like lawmakers, is people have to witness this and talk about what it is they saw so we can convey the message of what took place on October 7th as people are denying it. But they're in a tough spot because you've got a whole bunch of families who have their loved ones being murdered on film. And you have to consider their feelings. Do they want the videos out there? Some probably do. In fact, I guarantee you there are some who said, let the world see what they did. Others don't want that. And so how, if you're the Israeli government, how do you decide what video you're truly going to be able to put out? What if one family wants it, one other doesn't? What if we run into the very real scenario of Hamas using it as propaganda, or people like Brooke Lober from UC Berkeley saying it's made up? You know, the Jews are very good with technology. They run Hollywood, hadn't you heard? It's all fake. And towards the end of this 47-minute film, you know, there was a family who was going and looking at the various burned bodies, trying to figure out whether or not it was their loved one, because they couldn't tell from the face that was burned. After this video was done, total silence in that room. And I don't know if anyone knew what to do or say, because you can't really do or say anything after seeing video like that. Other than think about people like this.
An amendment condemning Hamas is bald propaganda meant to...
Thank you. Your time is up.
To hear them complain about Hamas violence is like listening to a wife beater complain when his wife finally stands up and fights back.
So that's a guy who thinks what happened to children is okay. Every single one of those people, and sorry to say this, they're evil. I'm not going to say they're ignorant of what happened. They know exactly what happened. He knows what happened. He just justified it. He pulled the, well, did you see what she was wearing card? That's what that monster just did. They are evil. And there are a whole lot of evil people like that in this country. Like a ton. An alarming number. They showed up yesterday to disrupt the Rockefeller Plaza Christmas tree lighting. They showed up in Seattle last Friday to disrupt our tree lighting ceremony. These are people who are evil, and they want to see Jews dead, and they are celebrating in the streets the same way Hamas was. I was there the day after the terrorist attack on October 8th in Kirkland, seeing people cheer on the Hamas terrorist attack. What do you do with people like this? It's one thing to deal with someone who is like a flat earther. Like those views don't really hurt anyone. They don't pose any direct threat because people don't believe that small group of people who believe the earth is flat. And you could go one step beyond that, folks who just believe in various conspiracy theories who are relatively harmless outside of that. But what do you do with people who truly believe what happened on October 7th was justified? What do you do when these are adults who should know better, who are coming out by the thousands, pushing their hate? What do you do when you realize there's a whole bunch of high school students who hold the exact same view and who are rallying for Hamas, calling Israel genociders? Because if they believe what Hamas did was justified, don't you think they're going to then get violent? Or sit back and allow others to get violent towards Jews in this country? Why would you not think that? Why would you not expect that they will celebrate the same way that Hamas did in Gaza? And so here's a legitimate question. What do we do? What do you do with people like that? I don't have an answer. I have no idea. And frankly, today, you don't want me to even try to speculate as what we can do. But people need to figure that out. And I would argue that it starts by making sure we're all speaking very loudly and clearly condemning Hamas and condemning these hateful people who are taking to the streets in celebration or in defense. Shame these people. They shouldn't feel comfortable holding these deeply disturbing views. And every day that they're out there with their propaganda, using social media, the Jackson Hinkles of the world, every day that they're doing that, understand that they are convincing others that what they believe is correct. And there are too few people who are willing to call it out. There are too few people who will step up and say, this is wrong. They won't do that for political reasons. They won't do that because they're cowards. Speaking of which, television reporters and some radio stations were invited to view the IDF footage. I understand someone who says, I just can't take this. I get that. What I don't understand are the ones who don't respond to the invite and choose not to send someone, a journalist. Are you a journalist or a propagandist? Are you looking, King 5, for some plausible deniability once you're judged for the horrible job you're doing in talking about the Hamas terrorist attack as you are airing propaganda blaming Israel and Jews? I'm looking at you, Cornelius Hocker. He should have been at this video screening. But God forbid he actually show up and look at the people who he's defending with his shoddy coverage. 1-800-4